Okay, we're in. Mike? Alright. How's everybody doing under circumstances? Ready? Say, how's everybody doing under your circumstances?
You want the honest truth?
Yes.
I fucking hate everybody.
It's pretty terrible. Yeah. Go up with the dogs on Friday.
No.
So you guys are looking for an update? Is that where you're?
Yeah. This is what you guys have been doing. What has been done.
As far as the missing person file goes, we follow up on how many tips. So we've got tips through email, we've got tips through Crime Stoppers. All of those have been followed up on.
And continue to be followed up on as well.
Yeah.
They keep coming in, but mind you, several of them are kind of repeat information as well.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps the same person calling the information in. Like that's through Crime Stoppers, and the only thing with Crime Stoppers is we can't follow up with that person that's providing the information, which kind of hinders things a little bit too, to a certain extent. Just for an example, they provide information. We can't contact them and ask them about it. Like where are you getting this information?
Well, because it's anonymous.
Exactly. Right. So anyway, there's been lots of Crime Stoppers reports coming in as well.
So when you say lots,
I would say we're probably up to.
I'm a numbers girl. I need the numbers. I do accounting for a living, so I need the numbers.
16
In total?
at this point, yeah. At least.
In almost 7 weeks, only 16.
Crime Stoppers reports.
Oh, just Crime Stoppers.
So I watched your guys' news conference or the story on the news, and you guys think he's abducted.
We think that that's just as much of a possibility as that he went into the water.
So we haven't discounted that because we can't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's talk about the boots in the water. One boot was found in a shopping cart at the bottom of that hole.
Mm-hmm.
The other boot was found down at the mouth of the river.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So to say somebody just left them there to be found to throw police off, it's a bit of a stretch in my mind to do that. If you're going to leave boots there, you leave them at the bank. Why would you throw them in the river?
Kurt was strong that day. Very strong.
We
It's very well
understand that. And the other thing is, too, there was a 3% chance that he would be found in the water. So, like, every bit about this for us is pretty rare.
Pretty rare for everybody.
So we feel that we can't count that out. There's so many people in the area so quickly.
If we were 100% he was in the water, then we wouldn't be following up on Crime Stoppers tips. Right?
Right.
That's reality. That's the way it is. You know, everything is pointing to him being in the water, right? But to definitively say he's in the water, we can't, because we ultimately don't know.
So have you guys done any investigating as into that side of it at all?
We've looked at people in the community. We've looked at any tips that came in about potential suspects have been looked into. Some of the information just doesn't match. You know, the person wasn't here, or the wrong plate, all that kind of stuff. Like the guy with the duffel bag, you know, it was his laundry, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there was also a guy that Tom mentioned too. Tall guy, 6 feet, 6'2", reddish beard, buzz cut. Say he told the police on day one, but never made it to Emory.
Apparently he was wet
Tom said it was
when the
bugging
search
him
had
from
just
that day
started.
right to the day he was talking to Norm, bugged him for 20 or more
I'll call
days.
Tom and ask about that.
Well, no, I was speaking with Tom, and I mentioned to you what Tom said about that gentleman, and it seems that he was one of the several people that were out searching that day.
Yeah,
And our
his question
thought
he
is,
was
what if
wet.
it wasn't?
Yeah,
was that person
He was wet
talked
from
to
the
at
chest
all,
down.
or do you know what we mean? Like, it's a
Why
possibility
wasn't
that
he
they weren't a
questioned?
good Samaritan.
Not everybody's a good Samaritan. If we looked at it that way, then
Everybody's a suspect.
everybody's a suspect until, so.
We'll call Tom for clarification. I don't have the file in front of me, obviously.
No.
But if that guy needs to be interviewed, we will.
But how would you locate this person now?
They have their ways, I'm sure.
Well, see if he has this guy's name.
No, he didn't know the name. He told me and Norman just a description and asked if we knew him because it's been bugging him since day one.
Listen, I'm talking to Tom on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, I have it on.
And he's never mentioned this to me.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know why it wasn't mentioned. I have proof of this too. So.
I don't discount what you're saying. What you're saying is,
I wonder why things weren't looked into. That's all.
things are being looked into, Jason.
Okay.
You tell me a missing person, the lengths that a police agency have gone to find this child, right? So to say we're not looking is wrong,
Okay. So.
right? No,
Well, no, we don't know
Well.
until you were just told now.
right?
So don't apologize. This is your son.
This file will remain open until we find him.
Mhm.
That's reality. That's how it's going to be. Right?
So how many people in the neighborhood were questioned that day? Like, did you guys follow up on everybody?
Actually, we did several canvasses because not everybody was home the same day at the same time, right? We checked with the Labor's House, which is down the road. We checked Queen Street. We checked videos. Wilson's.
You did check.
Did you guys go house to house near the
House
down
house.
Queen
We did
and down
house
Elizabeth,
house.
just near the?
In that area, yes, we did everything. We did any businesses that were there, like the steel business, Mackenzie's, all that was searched.
And also, once again, any video that was around that area was viewed by at least myself. I know there was a couple other officers that looked at some video like at that time, like Dylan was initially reported. But then I went back through and even located a few more businesses that would have video for like around. Some of them just more or less captured the intersection at Walker and Queen. So I viewed all that, and obviously there was no sign of, because we were thinking maybe Dylan perhaps he got up the sidewalk or came in through the ballpark there. However, there was no indication.
I think I was talking to you about a tip that there was a lady shortly before Dylan went missing asking at McWilson's, asking about him with his picture. And I think that would have been somewhere between 12 and the time he went missing. But did you guys check the register cameras to see if that actually happened?
Lady said that the lady was in there showing a picture before.
There was an employee there at the register, the gas station side, who said that there was a woman, a blonde woman, who came in shortly before Dylan went missing with his picture asking about him. So, yes. So I wasn't sure if you guys had looked into like the cash register at the counter camera.
We did receive a tip for the mirror machine. So is the video brought yet?
Yeah, I have the video I'm looking at. And actually that video, I'll mention this part, that the person thought it was you and Dylan at this convenience store and mirror machine. So these are like some of the type of information that we're following up on.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the one from New Brunswick anyway, and so as I said, it's a wide scope of information that's coming in.
Okay.
We're not counting anything out.
No.
Okay.
We're even following tips from psychics. You know, my personal belief, I don't believe that, but that doesn't mean we discredit it. We still have to follow it up. We have to.
Now I understand air scent dogs. Why wasn't Kevin's dog brought day 3? I understand that a lot of people were there, but they're trained for a specific smell. So if they were to smell his blanket, they like, why did it take
All right.
40 some days for?
So I did K9 for 5 years.
Or why did we have to set up that? Why wasn't that set up before? I guess.
I did K9 for 5 years,
Mhm.
right? None of our police dogs sniff clothing and then go search for people,
I know,
right? That's not how we
I know.
do it, right?
but Kevin's does. He's the only one certified in Nova Scotia. His lab,
Right.
and it was
So-
brought to you guys on day 3.
We had 2 police dogs,
Mm-hmm.
one on scene immediately, fairly immediate. The other the next day and did the river
Canine,
K9.
but they're not trained for that. They're not
That's right.
trained for. They're quite a bit different from a search and rescue or a scent dog. They're more wooded. I don't know how to explain what the other dog handlers explained it to us.
So they're cadaver dogs, right?
And
So
scent dog
They
and ear scent. There's
Yeah.
2 there.
forget the ear scent part of it,
Mhm.
because you've got searchers out there for days, right? So the ear scent is there's people there, right? That's just the way it is. So forget the ear scent part of it. The cadaver side of it, if he was in the water, they said the decomposing body would smell through the water. The dog potentially could smell that. But that's why we brought in the dive team.
Mhm.
Right? That's why we did that, because we wanted all eyes. We wanted 100% to say he's not in this particular part of the river.
Mhm.
Right? That's why.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
Because I can't
Say-
hold it in much longer.
Anything you want.
I would never take away your guys' wanting to believe somebody took him. That is truly yours, and I would probably be the same way. And I can't say I'm not a little bit thinking that, because I am. However, I agree, seeing everything I saw, being in the command center and listening to you, that unfortunately I believe he went in the water. I thought that day one. My question is, thinking that he's still there, that you and I talked about this before, that is a vast body of water.
Yeah, so
I mean, let me finish.
Sorry.
Going down, and this has been a rare occasion event, if you will, right from the get-go, with a 3% chance of a 3-year-old even going into the water. As the ground search and rescue said, it's a 3% chance. Well, that's a rarity right there, because I believe indeed he did. So I think we need to run with anything that's rare is going to could possibly happen. So what if, obviously out the bay, well, that goes down not just Maitland Way and Harrisburg Way, but it goes down Yarmouth Way. Well, on the other side of that is New Brunswick. Then it goes down to Maine, because it goes into the Gulf of Maine. Then it goes out to the Atlantic Ocean. So my question is, who all knows, or who is all on alert to potentially be looking out for him? Like his body.
Well,
Like,
I would
do
say
the
the
Brunswick
media,
know?
the media would cover a lot of it as well too.
Well, what did you guys do? Did you guys?
Like, I mean, what about
I'm
fishermen
just curious.
that are out down
This is
Yarmouth
a
Way?
world-
Like,
This is a worldwide thing. This isn't just in our little community. Everybody knows about Dylan, so everybody does have their eyes open. Fishermen and
we had a lady from Maine send us a message through our Facebook page asking to come up to help the search.
okay.
So, this made national news, and I would say international news, right? Because it was, the chief was doing his press conferences and advising the public on what we've done to date, right? We can send a message to police in Maine, right?
In New Brunswick, Yarmouth. Because I
It's
can't.
already in the province.
Okay,
That's been sent out day one,
okay.
right? But we can't through Interpol, we can send a message to officers in Maine.
To me, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, sure.
And to sit here and to say, we're just assuming, or I'm assuming, that it's been done, that just makes an ass out of me and you.
So, this bay is like no other, and that's what complicates this. So I called to a lady with DFO, and they were going to do their calculations and projections based on the size and weight, where typically we find. The closest they could give us is 7 kilometers. In another harbor, they could probably narrow it down to 1 kilometer because of what happens with the tidal board in this one. So I called another buddy of mine who's, we were in the military together, and because he's done a few of these now as a search commander with the RCMP, Sean Reynolds is his name. And I said, look, Sean, what are we missing here, right? And he said, what he do, he has 8 people that he hasn't found that have drowned in the ocean. 8, right? So the ones that he did find, he went to the local fishermen and say, look, if you have a storm here, where does your gear end up? And they'd say it ends up in this particular part of the bay, in that direction. And then they find the body over there. In this case, with this tidal board, we don't have that luxury, right? Because it drains. I spent 12 hours in a helicopter. I flew that to Shuby. We went past Walton, over to Portapique, all the way up, Economy, Portapique, all the way up through, right? And when the bay is empty, it's empty. And when it's full, it's full. That's the dynamic of that bay.
Okay, so would we be able to send that request to not only Maine, but anywhere else that connects to this piece
All
of
throughout the
water?
province, it's done. All the police agencies in this province know that. So we'll check to see if New Brunswick was made aware, and also down in Maine.
Okay. I mean, the Atlantic Ocean is also right there by the states too, right?
It's on.
Right over to Europe.
And he's not an adult, right? And that complicates things too. Like when they did the dummy, it was a week later, and the water was significantly lower, But even under calculations, that Cody was wearing 7 pounds of water. That's what that is.
And they pushed him, didn't they? They pushed him out of that brook 3 times before he even got to the river. So that's
Because the water wasn't there.
true.
So the reason why the town has the ability to stop that water significantly decrease the flow. So we asked them to do that. They put stoppers in up at the brook, because we wanted to search underneath the banks. Then we had Truro Fire do that. Right? So, I remember that day. So when we got the call, I went down there and I stood on the train tracks and looked and waited for K9 and all that kind of stuff. That water was extremely fast that day. And then we had the full moon that night. So I left there about a little bit after 11. I was back by 6:30 the next morning. That river on Thursday morning was slower than it was on Wednesday. I could see that it was. But that Wednesday, it was flowing hard. And I'm with you. Like, if this was my child, I'd be clinging to anything.
I know you're
That he's
talking
alive, right?
quite a bit. Well, for a few weeks back.
And on our side of it, we have to look at the evidence part of it. And we have absolutely no indication as of this very moment that Dylan is the victim of criminality.
Was his boots fingerprinted?
No, he would have been in the water.
So it wouldn't matter.
Water doesn't wash off fingerprints.
I wouldn't. Who told you that?
Well,
I looked it up.
Our forensic officer took them, so he didn't fingerprint them because there's no need to fingerprint.
Okay. Any other questions, Ash? You got a whole list of them.
As for these Facebook groups going on there, is there some?
Has that died down yet?
No, it's got even worse this morning. People were wishing Jason Happy Father's Day and sorry for him, and then there's people going on there. There's a few in particular, stirring up things. They sold them to the Muslim, so we just
So-
we've got some crazy emails and calls, like ludicrous stuff. Because there's crazy people out there.
Yeah, but my question is like,
I have a question.
if this is all done against the minor, can't this stuff be shut down, because they are actually doing this against the minor?
You can report any Facebook page to Facebook.
Oh, yeah, it's just.
I've already done that and it never changed. I haven't said he's a minor, these should be shut
They're just
down.
dollar signs to them, right? That's why they don't do anything about it. And no more than these monitors on these sites. She'll get on there and she's your best friend and type in, oh, you should delete that text that you just put in there. Well, no, she's a monitor, delete that text, delete that person. Go.
So do
So
we,
she's not really a friend, she's a phone.
You guys have handled that very well. Like you have.
We're starting to lose our shit.
Yeah, but ignore it. The people that are supporting you and the thousands well-wishing and all that kind of stuff, focus on that. The idiots out there, don't focus on it. I know it's easier said than done, but
It's
don't.
getting hard to swallow.
but as Dylan's parents, do we have the right and the ability to have those closed down?
Here's an example. So a friend of mine, her daughter went through a rough patch when she was mid-teens, right? So she was with this guy and they had his Facebook page and pictures and all that kind of stuff. So she's now 24 and she can't get that her own Facebook page deleted. She's tried, all that kind of stuff. I remember I was up on a conference up in Montreal, at a child pornography conference, and we had officers from all across the country giving presentations on these guys, primarily guys, who are doing this kind of stuff. So there was a guy there from a Secret Service who talked about Facebook and other social media platforms. And he referred to it as the whack-a-mole. As soon as you take one down, another one pops up. Right? And that's the situation we're in with that kind of social media.
It's just not the pages either. It's even when, well, I'm going to say with you because it just happened on Friday because I fell victim of it. That when you put out the picture of the reward for Dylan on his own personal page, and we had, I don't know how, because Justin flew into somebody, Felicia flew into somebody. I had enough, and I'm just ready to rip someone's jugular
Can't
out
you just
anyhow.
ban them? If they come on your page, can't you just ban them?
Yes, you can. That would be the sensible thing to do.
Just sue for negligence,
But
have the whole town hate you.
No, I know. I listen. I get it. You know, I get it.
But this was on his personal page, his own private. It wasn't any group, just some unintelligent scum of the fucking earth who decided to put their 2 cents
You
worth
keep
in.
sending nasty emails.
Will you marry me? Will you
There's some
like disgusting.
nasty, threatening ones that I've received and
Crazy.
harassing ones.
I have a quick question about the case. So day one, when everything started happening, why did it get so out of hand? Whose job was it to keep it from everybody ruining the evidence? Like, why was everybody allowed to swarm in and destroy everything?
So how would you prevent it?
Well,
I thought
So we weighed.
the area wasn't that big, so I imagine cops could have cones up and stopping people. From all
we don't know
directions.
how it all
I
works,
just-
right? This is all
I heard
new for
that,
us.
I heard that with that you're supposed to stop everybody from going until search and rescue to get there. Then they go in and get all the evidence. But in this case, everything got destroyed.
Okay. Well, everything didn't get destroyed because we found a pair of boots.
Okay,
All right.
but he obviously would have walked.
So
to
let me
shoot.
explain how that's what happened.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So when we received the call, police immediately went there.
Mhm.
We immediately notified the RCMP just in case he made it to the other side. Just in case. That's proven, right? Then we weigh how long it's going to take for ground search and rescue to come in and get set up to.
About half an hour. They left. Within half an hour, they left. They didn't want to wait that long.
Well, I made a call, so I was there.
And I talked to Tom, the head guy.
Okay, well, let
Okay.
him talk.
I made a call, so I was there.
Okay.
All right. Do we wait for ground search and rescue, or do we send a notice out to the public asking people to check their yards just in case or he's there, right? That's the decision we made at the time, and I'll stand by that decision because at that time of day, a lot of people around, they can check and look, right? Our canine then was running down to the river. Because ground search and rescue, they love to have a pristine scene, right? So they can say, yeah, here's the footprints and that kind of stuff. But on the flip side, we can't wait, and it wasn't a half hour. It was a couple hours after the incident until they got there,
Okay.
right? It just wasn't a half hour, right? So we searched first with the resources we had, and people from in the public, obviously. I saw people, when I was up on the bridge, I saw people down past the cheese plant walking up, for God's sake. You know,
I was one of them.
Yeah, no,
Right.
watch the officers let everybody in.
4:00,
you know,
4:30.
And people on the Bible hillside
yes,
as well.
coming down, they came down the bank from the ACs and walked
Have
over.
some of those too.
Okay. So when ground search and rescue did get set up, they went out, they had their hasty teams, and they went out quick. It's no different when I was in canine. I don't want people to contaminate my scene by, you know, interfering with the scent that the dog is going to pick up on. But there's ways to deal with that too. And you just go a little bit beyond where your people were and you do your search, right? So while we're waiting for ground search and rescue to get there, the helicopter landed, and I jumped in that, and we went out and did the river.
So search and rescue took 2 hours to get there.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Everything.
If you have
There
a-
might have been a few of the volunteers
Yeah.
that landed there beforehand. Perhaps it was the command post that might have taken 2 hours to get set up.
Yeah.
However, their volunteers would have been in the area. No doubt about it.
Like
You
they
gotta take into account that, like Tom lives in Mount River. That's more than a half hour away.
will have
Well,
to team is
all
these
these-
days.
All these volunteers, a lot of them are at work, so they have to get out of work, get their gear, and get the boots on the ground.
So on our side, we're not waiting for that, right? And I tell you, the ground search and rescue did a fantastic job. Like those
Oh, they did.
were
I
dedicated.
agree.
The weather was terrible, right? And they 24 right up to the Monday, you know. And like I say, you've been talking to Tom, and anything, you know, suggested is done. Same with me. I've said it to Tom many times. You know, his team was great. Him and A. You know.
I don't think we're disputing that. Not saying we
On
are.
the police response, once we got the call, we were there quick, right? And we were looking immediately.
Are the RCMP involved in this? Where he's not in Truro now, maybe, possibly?
Only we're the lead agency. He's missing from Truro. We're the lead agency. If we need them to assist, then we'll ask them.
Just a big world out there. RCs are much bigger.
Sure. And they did receive a couple calls, the Bible Hill RCMP, and it's
Sent to you
it's
guys.
sent to us.
Clothing, you know, there's something in the bay, you know, go check it out.
Yeah, there was one or two that they checked it themselves. Someone calls in, seeing something in the water, and they went and confirmed that it was
Wasn't it?
a trunk of a tree or.
This Tom Hughley guy on one of these here things, he said he reported a couple shovels. We went down with Doug and his team.
Yeah.
Right? He's claiming that, you know, you guys didn't go down there and know what shovels are.
He did, him and Derek did.
Yeah. But when the dogs were down there, they come across those shovels, did they? That's the only thing I ever found.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. So I went down with Tom prior to the show me.
Yes, I was there, yeah.
No, just me and Tom went down.
Yeah, no, I was there when you came.
Right,
Tom.
yes.
Yeah.
So
No, I was just wondering because that's the keep on saying that.
So that's like a,
Went down.
like
They
a
walked back
white-
and the shovels were still there. If the cops can't find the shovels, then how are they going to find the missing one?
Well, it's not their shovels, I
I
think.
guess. No, I know.
Yeah.
They got to take some of these shovels, right? We go back there.
No, but when Derek and we walked that whole area, and there was no shovels there, and there was also mention of a rope in a tree, so we were looking for that as well, and there was no rope in a tree.
You know,
In
just
that
gonna
area.
have
Did they find that, the canines, the rope in the tree?
So did you
Or
guys
just
ever
the
come across?
We were there in that area, but they didn't bring nothing back.
That day when Derek and I went looking, we didn't see any
Yeah,
shovels.
because they had posted on there that they went back after you had called this Tom guy back
And took pictures
and
again.
took pictures again. They're still there. Like you